Hi, I'm Liz. I am really excited to talk with you a little bit today about some strategies and some tips on how you can give a really great demo, even as we're still doing them remote for however long we have to be doing that for. So my name is Liz. I am a developer evangelist at Twilio, and I love talking to people about the work they're doing or what they're building. So please feel free to reach out to me if you'd like. I started at Twilio about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago. So a lot of the demos that I've been giving have been virtual. And I did just want to share this number and QR code. One of the big things that I like to do in my demos and in my talks is to get a lot of feedback and have a lot of interaction. And it might be kind of hard for me to check the YouTube chat. So if you want to share anything as we're going through this, please feel free to send a WhatsApp message, and I have it pulled up here, and I'll be checking it as we go along. So please interact with the demo as much as possible, and also feel free to ask questions and share any feedback that you have. So in this session, first, we're going to start out, and I'm going to do a live coding demo. And then after that, we'll do a little bit of a feedback regroup session and talk about what worked about it. And then we'll wrap up at the end by talking about some practical tips that you can take into your own demos, including some technical things and equipment that you might want to invest in so you can really go forward with some successful live demos. So we have something that we do at Twilio called the 5-minute demo. And so I'm going to do the 5-minute demo for you right now. As I'm doing it, please take notes of what you liked, what you didn't like, and then again, we'll regroup at the end and talk about it. Okay, so I am going to start this from the top like I would be doing if I was at a developer event. We're doing it online rather. Hi, my name is Liz, and I am a developer evangelist for Twilio. Twilio is a cloud communications platform, and it allows you to send SMS messages, WhatsApp messages, make phone calls, and even set up a whole contact center in the cloud. So we're just going to start today by looking at some of the basics of what you can do with Twilio and how to get started. So we're starting out here in the Twilio console, and you'll see that you have this account SID and an auth token, which sort of function like your username and your password. The easiest way to get up and running with Twilio is by buying a phone number. So we're going to do that together. So I'm going to go over here to all products and services, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then I'm going to go down to phone numbers under Super Network, and we are going to buy one together. So it would be great if someone would mind letting me know via WhatsApp or the chat the area code of where they grew up. So if you could give me your area code, I'm going to try to buy a number in that area code. So let me check the chat here. It looks like we have Lauren is from the 256 area code. So I'm going to look and see if we've got any from there. And, you know, you'll see once they come up, we got some from Talladega, Alabama. So you'll see here that it kind of lets us know what the capabilities are. So this one has voice and SMS, which is great because that's what we need for what we're trying to do. So we'll go ahead and purchase this phone number. And then I'm just going to take us through what the console here looks like for the phone number. So you'll see there's this area where you can configure what you want to happen when a call comes into the number. And then there's an area where you can configure what happens when a message comes into the number. So this is what we're going to focus on first, because we're going to set it up so that when you text into this number, you will automatically get a text message sent back to you. So down where it says a message comes in, there's all these options. So if you're a programmer and you want to set up your own server and you want to write code, you could use the webhook. If you want to use one of our low code or serverless options, you could choose one of those too. We are going to use TWIML bins today. And TWIML is a markup language from Twilio. And it'll probably look a lot like other markup languages you may have seen before. Every piece of TWIML has to start with these response tags here. And then since we want a message to go back, we're going to use a message tag. And then I am just going to say something nice. And after this, we can save it. And it will also validate it for us down here. So it's kind of a nice feature. If I were to forget, a forward slash or something like that, it would try and catch the error and help me out. So now I'm going to save this, and I need everybody to get their phones out. So please grab your phones now, because I'm going to need you to test this out and see if it's working yet. So grab those phones. Open up your messages, and then I want you to send a message to 256-223-9932. Again, that's 256-223-9932. You can send your favorite emoji or what you're going to have for your next meal. And then go ahead and just drop an emoji or a little note in the chat when you get a text message back. All right. I got a text message back, so we know it works. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to write a little Python code to call you back based on what you just sent in. So I like to use Python. I also like to use JavaScript. I think we have 7 different SDKs now. So you got some options based on whatever you prefer to use. So I am just going to go ahead and get all of our credentials here. And then I'm going to get a list of all of the messages that you just sent in. All right, so we're going to get them to the number that we bought together, that beautiful Talladega number. And then I am going to go over that list of messages. And I'm going to see what you sent in just because I think that's fun. And then I'm going to call you back. So we'll do it using the client here. And then the call is going to go to your number. And then it's going to be from our number that we bought together. And then the last piece here is we just have to let the program know what we want it to do. And we could keep doing this in Python, but I'm just going to use Twiml again because it's nice and quick here. So we'll just create one called calls. Again, we'll start with those response tags. And then for this one, we're going to use a tag called say. And I think you can probably guess what it's going to do there. And then the last thing that I'm going to do here is I am going to dial out and connect us all to a conference line, which I just think is really cool because all you have to do is give it a name and it will spin it up for you. And it'll be almost like a little mini networking session that we've got going on here at DevRelCon Tokyo. All right, we got some valid voice Twiml. So I'm going to hit create on that. And then all we have to do is grab this URL and then paste it into our code here. All right, I think this is looking good. So let's go ahead and run it. All right, messages coming in. If your phone is ringing, feel free to go ahead and answer it. And you should hear the message and be able to hear everybody else on the line. All right, so that is the 5-minute demo. So normally what I like to do after I give a demo is I like to do a worked, not worked. And this is something that me and my colleagues do really frequently together, where we get feedback and we start out by talking about what we thought went well. And then we also talk about what maybe didn't go so well, what could have been improved, and maybe what we want to try for next time. So I wish we had enough time to do it together today. Since we are short on time, again, please feel free to WhatsApp me. Let me know what you thought. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of that. But we'll just dive in for now on the things that work about it and what I try to think about when I'm putting together a demo. So the number one thing that I try to start out with when I'm crafting a demo is thinking about really telling a story, thinking about the audience as a character in that story, and even sometimes the code or what we're trying to build as a character are part of the narrative. And if you think about a story, you know, often we run into a problem, or there's something that we need to solve. We go through a journey together in order to get there, and then there's something exciting that happens at the end. So a big piece of this is audience interaction. And I think that when we're giving demos, when we're at home, when we're still doing everything virtually, that is one of the most difficult pieces, because when we are in a live room and there's all of that energy and all of that excitement, that really feeds a lot of just the audience engagement. And that's really hard to do when we're behind screens and we're not together. So I like to ask for things like, does someone want to share their area code, which, you know, is a bit of a regional option, but there's certainly other things that you can do based on whatever kind of demo you're giving. You could ask someone, it's kind of a silly one, but if you're doing something visual with design, you could ask for someone to share a color that they might want to make something, or a message that they might want to type. I've also had situations where I've asked if someone wanted to help do the demo, and that can be kind of fun if someone's willing to kind of actually get on screen and share their screen and maybe try something out. So you can get really creative with it. Timing is really critical. It's hard to keep everybody's attention. It's always hard to keep people's attention, but even more so right now. When I'm doing something like the 5-minute demo, I try to think of how can I get to where someone's getting that text message back as quickly as possible, while still making sure that, you know, I'm conveying all of the information that needs to be shared. And I think that also ending with something memorable, trying to find a note to end on where someone feels really empowered to go forward, or they feel really excited to go check it out themselves, can be quite powerful. Knowing your audience is super key. I think that in my day-to-day role, sometimes I'll be talking to incredibly technical audiences, people who are, you know, lifelong coders of 30 years. And then sometimes I'm working with people who are also, you know, incredibly technical, but they don't code at all, but they still kind of want to learn how to do something. And so fortunately now we're in a time where there's a lot of options for how you can go about doing a demo. So kind of knowing your audience, where they're located, or the kind of like level that they're at, can also really work in your favor. So when you're thinking about how to put the demo together, try to think about telling a story. Find creative ways to interact with the audience and show that you know them and that you care about the experience they're having. Also take timing into consideration as you're thinking about pacing and other elements of the demo. Okay, so we're going to dive now into some more practical remote demo tips, which I really like because I feel like these are the ones that you can actually take and implement immediately into your demos. As I was putting this together and I was talking to other colleagues and they were helping work on it as well, we kind of kept saying this thing where we were like, there are no demo gods, but there is one, and their name is Rehearsal. And if there is only one thing that I could share with you from the session today, it would be rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. And most importantly, rehearse how you plan to present, right? Because I am the most guilty of like sitting on the couch and thinking about what I want to say and being like, that's rehearsing, but it's unfortunately not. The best way to prepare yourself is really to get your whole setup set up, get your environment exactly the way that you need it, have everything in place, and rehearse exactly the way that you're going to do it in real time. Make your font size bigger. So this is important in person, but I think virtually it's even more important. You know, you saw how I kind of struggled with the screen sharing at the beginning. That's always a little bit awkward sometimes. There are things like that that are unavoidable, but I think that just knowing that people can actually see your screen, see your code editor, see what you're doing is going to help you have more confidence and alleviate some of those concerns. Always keep a backup. I'll show you in my Visual Studio Code, I have these other files just in case. I actually really think that debugging on the fly is a great way to engage the audience. And sometimes when you make a mistake, it's a really cool learning opportunity. So I think there's nothing wrong with making mistakes or demos not working. But occasionally you run into that situation where it's just not working and you know that you need to move on. And so to kind of avoid any sort of just wanting to end on a strong note, it's nice to have the backup to fall back on if needed. Checklists are immensely helpful. I think that, you can have sort of a checklist of all of the tech things that you need to have set up, and then anything that is related to whatever it is that you're presenting on. And I'm going to share a checklist with you at the end. I'll share a link with you, and you can feel free to copy that and work off of that to make your own. Okay, so some quick things on how to look and sound great. Get a external microphone if you can, and use headphones. Those are quick and easy ways to start sounding better and having better audio quality. On the checklist, I also have some recommendations on microphones that you can use. I would also recommend that if you are, I'm using Bluetooth headphones right now, but I always keep a spare set of headphones next to me just in case these die. If you can get your hands on a camera and a cam link to hook that up, that will immediately, bring up the quality of your video. But an external webcam is also a great option. I think as long as, you kind of have it in front of you, and you can see everything fully, see your face fully, that is great. And on the same note, improving your lighting, just making sure that you are not super backlit, which I know can be hard at certain times of the day. But if you can make sure that there's lights in front of you, facing you, and then if you are backlit, maybe trying to find something to cover that light up with. Cutting background noise is another thing that sometimes, you just can't help the dog barking or the construction outside. But there are some really amazing tools out there. I'm actually using one right now called crisp.ai that will do a lot of that work for you of kind of cutting out some of the background noise through an application. So that's something to try. And then as another reminder, rehearse, because you're always going to look and sound great when you feel confident about what you are saying. Okay, I think I'm coming up on time here, so I'll try to keep the next couple slides quick. So some useful demo tools. When I made the number large on the screen, I used something called Alfred. It's a really helpful workflow tool, so highly recommend that. Cloak will hide your environment variable files. So if you want to keep those, hidden, don't want anybody to see your account credentials or things of that nature, that's a really good one. And it's a VS Code extension as well if you use Visual Studio Code. And then Reflector is a mirroring app, and that is really awesome. I've used that for demos and also for like tutorial videos that I've recorded. It's super slick and it's really easy to install. And it's good for, if you need to show like a mobile app or a text message or anything of that nature. So when you're presenting remote demos, just a couple of recap points. Make sure you rehearse. That's going to be your number one success tool for you. Do a tech check for yourself. And also when you're doing that tech check, also take a moment to review the checklist. And most importantly, have fun. So if you would like to copy the demo checklist that I have, you can find that at lizmoy.com/demo-checklist. And it also has some links to some of the tech that I mentioned earlier. But also, there's so many great resources out there. There's so many amazing streamers who are doing different sort of like recommendations. So it's really all about finding what's in your budget and what's right for you as well. Please feel free to connect with me if you'd like. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for having me today.